Everybody, it is 9:30, and we will call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And I'll note for the record that Board Member McCafferty is excused, and we say good morning to our fellow board members. We'll go right into our agenda, and I move to approve the minutes of the September 25th, 2025 board meeting. Second by Ms. Sticken. Friendly amendment by Ms. Stewart, please.
On the first page, I believe last line of the minutes, if I get it in front of me, there's the word ballet instead of the word ballot. So I think.
All right, let's see. Okay. Last line. First, second.
I'll find it and I'll give it to the clerks.
Okay, thank you. We'll note that for the record, that friendly amendment. Any other unreadiness? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. And on to item 2, I move to acknowledge Secretary of State Directive 2025-53. Second by Ms. Sticken. Any unreadiness? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And I move to acknowledge Secretary of State Advisory 2025-05.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Sticken. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. And I move to acknowledge Secretary of State Memorandum 2025-02.
Second that.
Second by Ms. Sticken. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And the chair acknowledges Mr. Steve Dell from absentee.
Good morning. Steve
Good
Dell, Supervisor, Absentee Voter Services. As the report indicates, we had everything went very smoothly. We have a nice, reliable team helping us out with the voting. This was our first EIP round at the new facility, and a few adjustments here and there, but it's working out really well. I just want to go over a couple highlights from the report. In particular, numbers. We did 1,511 voters. That included 6 takeaways, and we did 52 provisional voters, and we did 4 of them on election day. We're getting great feedback from folks coming in. They're really enjoying the new place. They like the parking, having everything all in one place. They're not walking down, from down the street. And the space itself, they're getting really good vibe and good feedback from everybody. Just a couple notes from the report. I wanted to point out the spike in our provisional voters. We had several folks come in from the Ohio Job Corps. They're from they're registered in other parts of the state, and they're now living in Cuyahoga County, and so they came in, and we had a lot of provisionals. Had good chat with the coordinator and worked out, make sure that people get their registration cards in before Monday, so that we won't be going through that again. They will be back to vote, but hopefully it'll all be a regular voting. And we've worked out a good system with them, and it's always nice to reach out, talk to these organizations, and just get contacts and say, hey, give us a heads up you're coming. So we've worked that one out. One little issue that we had on the second day of voting, I think I noted that in the report, was we had a county-wide network error that went on for several hours, and that affected our DIMS registration system, so we were not able to do our normal looking people up and printing out labels and voting people that way. But we do have contingency plans. We always are ready, and we were able to implement that and just keep going. And really, voters didn't even really notice that there was even an issue for the most part, and that lasted about half a day. But we, nice that we have that. We now have a backup battery in place in the event we have no electricity. We'll still be able to print ballots. So we're ready to go for any issues. Other thing that was different for this election, we had a group of folks coming from the Welcome House, which is these folks have adults with special needs and certain disabilities, some physical, others mental, that kind of thing. And they came in and helped us out, guiding voters, greeting them, and giving out stickers at the scanners. And all around, it just was a great experience for everyone. For them, they came in here and were able to do some work and get a little bit of dignity of work that we've heard about. And it was good for us too, because we had a little bit of help there. Voters enjoyed it. I think the mayor came in the one day and he made a couple comments about it. He was glad to see that. And we're continuing that. In fact, they were here yesterday for the first day of early voting for the November election. And we're going to just try to continue, reach out to them and keep that going. I think it was a great program. And that's all I got to say. Any questions you have?
Thank you, Mr. Dell. Any questions from the board? Any commentary from the director, deputy director?
I just want to thank Steve and Becky Brake, the manager, and Jess Fossey, the assistant manager, figuring out for the very first early in-person voting in this new facility. While, yeah, it's big and it's bright and everything, you still have to figure out the details and logistics. And they did a really good job of having it be a success, which then will lead to further successes as we're in the November election.
Thank you, Director. Mr. Dell, I know that we're in the middle of or just beginning a new election cycle. Were you able to, at least as a management staff, to do any kind of mini lessons learned that you can apply from what you learned from that election moving forward to this one?
I think the main thing was just logistics of where to put the scanners and the kids' ballot scanner, and also voter flow. Right. September was not quite as large, I guess you could call that. It's sort of a dress rehearsal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we were able to work. It was mostly placement of things and just where the line would end and all that kind of stuff. Little things behind the scenes that hopefully nobody noticed.
Right, and that's helpful. We used to call that building the bridge while we're trying to walk across it.
Yeah.
So that's good work. Yeah, thank you so much for the report and for the fine work of your staff. I move to acknowledge the early in-person voting precinct election official performance report for the September 9th, 2025 primary election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. All in favor, aye. 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 The ayes have it. And the chair acknowledges Mr. Brian Cleary, Ballot Department.
Good morning.
Morning.
Brian Clary, Manager, Ballot Department. On October 1st, the Ballot Department conducted 3 risk-limiting post-election audits for the September 9th primary election. We audited Issue 2, the Cleveland Heights mayoral recall race, the East Cleveland mayor race, and the Garfield Heights mayor race. There were a total of 20,997 ballots cast in the election. A hand count was conducted of 1,499 ballots within the 3 audited contests. The accuracy rate for all 3 audited contests was once again 100%. Everything matched the official canvas. Below that, you have a little breakdown of the totals, and then on the back page of the summary report is a breakdown of the individual batches that we selected and their hand count and that they matched. And I'll take any questions if you have them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Cleary. Any questions? Okay, again, thank you for your work, and I move the certification of the September 9th, 2025 primary election post-election audit summary. Second by Ms. Sticken. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Cleary. And we have in our board packet the final ballot order for the November 4th, 2025 general election. I move the approval of that final ballot order for November 4th.
Second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. All in favor? Aye. Aye. The ayes have it. And I move the approval of the preliminary ballot order for the January 6, 2026 Oakwood Village Special Mayoral Election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. We're not through 2025, and we're already into 2026. Okay, we have the motion on the floor. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you so much. And on to election support. I move the authorization to process payment in the amount not to exceed $40,660 for 82 private locations, including 4 CMHA properties, for the November 4th, 2025 general election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. And I move the approval of the final voting equipment allocation for the November 4th, 2025 general election. Second by Ms. Sticken. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. And I move the approval of the preliminary voting equipment allocation for the January 6, 2026 Oakwood Village Special Mayoral Election.
I will second that one.
Second by Ms. Stewart. All in favor, aye. Aye, the ayes have it. And we have resolutions before us. The chair recognizes Mr. Perlotti or our manager, Tara, if they need to say something. If not, then we can move forward.
Just real quick, I will, previously, prior to this, the board approved a resolution for an invoice for the voter information guide for the November election. Through that process, and that was correct. What had happened was somewhere down the stream, we had found out about a polling location in North Olmsted where the parking lot was under construction. We made the decision to move that. Because of that, we had them pull out, and they were able to pull out the North Olmsted voter guides and reprint them with all the correct information. So we were sending out the correct information to all the voters and not having to follow up with a letter saying what we just say you got to disregard it because of this. Because of that, it took them some additional time, effort, and postage to get that done. And so this is only a small adjustment, $216.45 to cover that change that we had to have because of a poll place change. And for county fiscal purposes, you got to be spot on to the penny, which is correct and how it should be. And so this is just to bring that up to speed for that.
Thank you, Director Perlotti. Any questions from the board members? Hearing none, I move the approval of Resolution R 2025-10-08-000224V, Integrated Voting Systems.
Second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. All in favor, aye. Aye, the ayes have it. And on to the poll worker department. I move the authorization to pay the precinct election officials for the November 4th, 2025 general election as presented in our board packet.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sticken. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye, the ayes have it. And the chair recognizes Mrs. Marlene Robinson Statler, poll worker department manager.
Good morning, Marlene Robinson Statler, manager for the poll worker department. You have before you the precinct election official performance summary for the September 9th, 2025 primary election. Although not a county-wide election, there were 67 polling locations represented, and we hired 732 poll workers. If you look at the future worker appointments, we have some poll workers that will be relocated, some that will be removed, on watch, or demoted, and that's based on the actions on election day. We do a full comp investigation, contacting the location, the manager, and the workers. Then we do a comment review where the zone leaders do contact the locations, and then we make decisions as a team with a consensus with the management team. In addition, we do offer open house and Zoom additional meetings for those that are attending training. Because people were trained in May 2025 for the primary election, they did not require training for the September election. So we did offer open house, Zoom, and some refresher training as needed they could take advantage of. Then as we look into the criteria for the election official manual, the Secretary of State provides directives, and so what we are measuring or evaluating on is those directives. And overall, the poll workers did demonstrate solid knowledge, professionalism, and carried out the election day duties. We've used feedback from the call center, post-election surveys from workers, voters, internal staff assessments, and we did meet our expectations and achieve our goals for the election. So as you look at the opening and closing of the polls, you see that we met that with 100% opening and closing on time. Printing and signing of the reports, we did have a few locations who did not return reports. I will say overall with the report, we did investigate if there were any commonalities, meaning where there's was there more than one location having more than one thing? Yes, there was, but they weren't in the same categories, if that makes sense, okay? And then they 100% did complete the oath of office. As we move on to the other information, reclosing voting machines, four out of the 67, which is 6%, did not properly close the machines, and we are accrediting that to some things that we're working on with learning how to load the paper and how the paper is loaded in our Clear Class system. And then self-reporting, 100% reported that. We also have some fail-safes in place where we can monitor from here at the Board of Elections if the ballot supply is becoming low. Then provisional ballots. So here is one area, and there's some comparisons for you from our last September election in 2021 to September 2025, and then looking at a countywide election in May, do comparisons of some areas where we need to do some work and some things that we are doing well. And so as far as the envelopes, we have 5 areas that we look at: no printed name, no signature, and if they have the date of birth missing or missing an address. As you see, no printed name, we're doing 100%. Now, as we move into some of the other categories, we do have some work as far as no signature and missing the date of birth. And they're still working on no ballot in envelope, meaning we're training the poll workers that if, say for instance, something was voided out, you should write void on that envelope. Just don't turn in an empty envelope, because then we're trying to guess or assess if a ballot was actually in that envelope. And then we go back to the pink memos to try to find out exactly and reconcile what happened there. So as you see, there's some, with properly taping. Another reconcile is they tape the EPB slip on the provisional envelope as a reconciliation that you did issue out the correct ballot. And we're still working on about 9 locations where 50% was done, and then there's 3 locations where fewer than 50% of or none of the tapes were taped to the envelope. So basically, the reconciliation after the polls closed, 3 locations did not complete the ballot accounting process. So then we go to the final summation or final totals. Overall, if you do comparisons from 21 to 25, there has been improvements, and the one area that we are homing in on is the processing of all provisional ballots correctly. As you see, we had 93% in 2021, and we have 91% at this point with September election. Then our next steps, which were plentiful for this, and we're working on for November. So to ensure optimal performance for the upcoming November election, we have the following initiatives that are being implemented. For training, we are offering and continue to offer both online and in-person refresher training sessions for Election Day workers. We updated the election training manual. New training enhancements. We introduced a new instructional video focused on proper loading of the paper roll. We implemented a new procedure, attached a tag to each power cord, reminding workers to load the paper roll before plugging it in on Monday night. And then we're offering open house sessions at 1803 Superior, where we're providing hands-on training. We have a new management course for our managers and for those who have an interest in becoming a manager or doing something at the location. We offer practice with the ballot scanner, the ADA machine, provisional ballot, how to complete the envelopes, electronic poll book scenarios. We have a supply pack-up demonstration, because we know after 15 hours working on Election Day, sometimes that pack-up doesn't always happen properly. Then we have a theater-style experience with our key training videos that are also featured there. And I will say we've started some of the open house sessions already, and we had an excellent attendance. We had 75 people this past Saturday and 52 on Sunday. Then we're going to continue to have ongoing collaboration with other departments. We have a new version of Issue Tracker was introduced, so we're working through that, and we're working with departments at identifying potential knowledge base for program enhancements for that particular program. And that is everything for me.
Thank you, Ms. Statler. Any questions? I have just, go ahead, Mr.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Mike.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe this is a question for Mr. Perlotti or yourself. When I looked at the tapes, you had 61% signed all tapes. That means 39 didn't, 39%, and then a third signed some. Do we still, and it maybe technology's changed where we don't have to send out the old alerts. I don't know whether you have to do that. Or is there a way, maybe even through the EPBs or something, that we could push a message to remind them to do that at the end? Because I can imagine that's just a function of they're tired, or at the end of the day, they're trying to do that. Is there some way we could remind them, or at least the VLM, hey, make sure all your tapes are signed, without it being too laborious for us?
Yes, we can. So, and I'll make a comment, and Marlene will correct me. But one of the things that we can do is through the electronic poll books, you can do a push notification that it would appear on all of their electronic poll books. You'd want to make sure that we got that to them in a time in which the books are still on, they're still utilizing it. Could even maybe be when they're completing the ballot accounting, which does happen on the electronic poll book. So, you get to 7:30. Make sure they get everybody in, and then that is something we can do as a reminder. That's not another piece of paper that gets lost in the mix with all the things that they have. So that is something that we can and would be quite simple. Program it, and I think you send push, and it goes out to all locations. And then I don't know.
So,
So, and I agree, that would be an excellent idea, so we can use that. Something probably between 7 PM and 7:30 as a reminder, because it does get chaotic after 7:30 trying to do the closing. But in addition, what you had mentioned about alerts and things going out, the final email reminders, we can add something for that, because we do send those out also the week before, along with the alerts, to make sure that we add something in there regarding that.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a heart for poll workers, trying to help them out, so. Yeah. So if you could consider that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Robinson?
We are all done.
Ms.
Thank you.
Robinson Statler?
Chairman, if I
Yes.
could, and just real quick, and just a quick shout out. It is now Dr. Marlene Robinson Statler.
Hey, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, poll worker department. So I acknowledge the precinct election official performance report for the September 9th, 2025 primary election. Second by Ms. Sticken. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. And the chair acknowledges Mr. Hassani Wheat.
Good morning. Hassani Wheat, Registration Manager. You should have before you a Form 257 Challenge of the Right to Vote and Correction of Registration Lists that was submitted by Joanne Anderson and received by the Board of Elections on September 9th, 2025. Ms. Anderson, a registered voter in Cuyahoga County, is challenging the voter residency of Joseph LaShawn Anderson. Ms. Anderson noted in her challenge that Mr. Anderson does not live at 920 East 232nd Street in Euclid, Ohio, and that she put him out of her house 3 or 4 months ago. Per the Cuyahoga County Property Summary Report, Ms. Anderson has been a property owner at 920 East 232nd Street since April 8th of 1997. The voter registration database shows that Joseph LaShawn Anderson has been registered at the 920 East 232nd Street address since August 7th, 2025. Mr. Anderson has not had any voter activity since being registered at the 920 East 232nd Street address. The registration department attempted to contact Mr. Anderson to have him confirm or update his address, but received no response.
Thank you, Mr. Wheat. Any questions from the board to Mr. Wheat? Okay, thank you, sir. Hearing none, the chair recognizes Joanne Anderson. If Ms. Anderson is present or an attorney representing Ms. Anderson, we'll know for the record she is not here and she's also not online. Okay. For our respondent, the chair recognizes Mr. Joseph Anderson. Is Mr. Anderson present or an attorney representing him? And the chair notes for the record that Mr. Anderson is not present, nor is he online, nor is there an attorney representing him. Board, we've heard from Mr. Wheat, and I move to uphold the voter challenge of Joanne Anderson as presented against Mr. Joseph Anderson, and that Mr. Anderson's registration be canceled.
I'll second that then. Oh, it is, hello? Okay, I'll second that, sorry.
Okay, second by Ms. Sticken.
I thought it
Any
was on, I
unreadiness?
apologize.
Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, it is so ordered. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And on to our human resources agenda. We have before us acknowledgement of the appointment to the position of Program Coordinator of Elisa Coolwine, effective October 13th, 2025. So I move her appointment.
Oh, second.
Second by Ms. Stewart. Any unreadiness or questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. And the chair recognizes Director Perlotti and Deputy Director Gallagher, whoever wants to go first. The floor is both of yours.
Right.
I will, I'll start off with an update on the November election and then kick it to Deputy Director Gallagher just to talk about some building items, progress that we're making with things with the property. So as we heard, absentee voting is officially underway. It opened yesterday. We had the close of registration at Monday at 9 p.m. So if you are not registered for this election, there is no longer any time to do so for that. On Tuesday, absentee early in-person voting opened at 8 a.m. We had good attendance yesterday. It was about 194 individuals who came through our doors and voted. As Steve Dell had mentioned in his report for September, a lot of the similar comments. People excited to see it. Big, easy to get to, easy to navigate with our signage to participate in the process. So a lot of positive comments on the early in-person process. The hours for voting for the remainder of this week, today through Friday, are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Next week, on Monday, October 13th, we are closed for early in-person voting as well as closed to the public just for general election services. That is the Columbus Day holiday, and per Secretary of State directive, voting is to not happen on that day. We will be here behind the scenes working to work towards our goal of executing a successful November 4th election. But the early in-person voting does resume on Tuesday the 14th, and through that Friday, the hours remain 8 to 5. So we're doing well with that. And it's nice having a parking lot attached to the property or on the property, on the campus, that actually can house cars for the voters. Also yesterday was the opening of Vote by Mail. We put almost 15,000 ballots, not quite that number, into the mail. We sent over another file yesterday to the ballot printing vendor, Midwest Direct, and that is all. And with that file, it takes us up closer to about 20,000, and those are all the applications that we have on hand. So everything is processed. We are up to date. Whatever comes in the daily mail, we are able to process that and get that over to the ballot vendor for ballot creation and mailing. We are receiving and have been receiving since some point last week about 2,000 requests per day for us to send applications to residents. Just a quick reminder, voting by mail in Ohio is a two-step process in that you first must complete and submit a vote by mail application. And once that goes through the review process and deemed to be accurate and correct, we then will send you a ballot, and then you get that ballot, and part two is voting it and returning it. So while 2,000 per day is a nice number, it can always be a little bit more, and hopefully that will kick up a little bit. The challenge, and for those of you who have been around for a while with odd-year elections, especially following a presidential, you're all revved up for that big attendance, and then things just kind of go way down. And we're seeing that, but hopefully we'll get continued interest in vote by mail. Post office does take about 3 to 5 days to deliver ballots, so you want to be timely with that. And as always, we have our drop box, which is secure on the property, that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for voters to deposit both applications and vote by mail ballots. Poll worker recruitment, we were off to a good start. We have hired and trained about 90% of the poll workers that we need. However, we have kind of now hit a lull. So similar to participation in odd-year elections, in a presidential year, you are turning poll worker applicants away, and now we're at the point where we need to gin up business. So our community outreach department will be putting a press release out. Hopefully Cleveland.com and others will pick up on that, as well as we'll be sending some specific needs to the two county political parties to see if they can use their emails and social media to get the word out. We're about 300 poll workers short of where we want to be. We have about 2 weeks left of training, and I would say the biggest areas of need are Parma and Parma Heights, North Olmsted, Strongsville, Solon, and Cleveland. And that is both Democrat and Republican poll workers. So we are looking for both. So anything that anyone can do to get that word out, we appreciate it. Marlene appreciates it, and it just makes for a better, stronger election day. As Marlene had mentioned, we conducted our first open house in this building last weekend and went really well. The space is great to be able to separate out and have some individuals training on poll books, while other ones are training on scanners, while other ones are in a more of a classroom setting, learning the ins and outs of elections. It was a success. We're going to make a couple changes because you need to live through it to be able to make those changes. And our next open house is the weekend of October 18th and 19th. So this kind of happened by accident. We were scheduled for the county's Harvard Garage training location, and they were doing some technology updates. So we said, well, let's go. Let's figure it out. And we did, and I'm glad. And now there's no turning back. We're going to continue to do that here, as well as we are doing some just routine poll worker training on the property after hours. The ballot department is making its way through logic and accuracy testing of the equipment. They are about halfway done with the equipment, and they actually are on or a little bit ahead of schedule with that testing. Testing is going well. It is helpful that the test only includes a single sheet ballot versus the multi-page. Makes things go a little bit faster all around, but all things are moving well with that. Staying with the ballot department, last Friday was our public test of the voting equipment. That was successful, hit all our marks. What we did for that test is we sent email invitations to all the candidates that are on the ballot for this fall and invited them to come to that test. While it's open to the public sometimes, unless you prod individuals, they may not know about it. And the thought is in odd years, you definitely have some first-time candidates who are running for city council or something like that, and they don't know all the ins and outs of it. So we had probably about a dozen individuals came down. Of course, you always want more, but we're happy for those who did come and learned a little bit more. And what's great is they walk away going, wow, and they see all the steps and the due diligence that goes in to ensure that everything is spot on. As well as we got some media coverage, and Deputy Director Gallagher represented the board well at that. Election support, their department, they are busy preparing all our supplies to send out to the polls. They are on time with everything where they need to be. We had our moving vendor delivered a semi-trailer that's parked inside the garage over at Halley, where Victor and his team, as they prepare items, can get them into that trailer. So when that gets pulled out for coordination of going to the polls, we're that much further ahead having that trailer here. So that's working out well. Election support is also working on Deputy Director Gallagher and I have tasked them with turning this polling location, or this drop-off location, into a super location. Board of Elections is always a drop-off location for election supplies on Election Day for set locations that are close to this area. What we saw in September, the Deputy Director and I, is, wow, there's the opportunity here to grow this. It's a nice location. It's indoors, well-lit, free from the elements. You can handle a lot of cars, and you can expand from having just one single van receiving those supplies to building it out. We're going to go with 3 different vans. And so Vic and his team is figuring out the logistics of what are those locations that will come here, and we pretty much have that figured out. We should be able to shut down about 4 drop-off locations out in the neighborhoods and have them come here. Now, they're really only driving about 10 minutes to get here, so it's not like we're going to the far corners of the county to have them come. So it's a reasonable distance, and it should go quickly. So we're working through things like when someone comes in, they come in kind of like in a general state, and we give them this specific chain of custody forms that they need for their location so they can go any line anytime. So just like when you go into the polls, you're looking for the shortest line, we're coming up with that method to do that. So that's working well as trying to work in some of our hand scanner technology. So we have these programs, and we put a barcode on everything, and we do scan those barcodes when it comes back to Hallie, but we may be able to do an intermediate scan at the drop-off to quickly see if we have something. If something were to be missing, say a ballot bag, we will know that much sooner to be able to redirect someone to go out and get that missing supply. Doesn't happen often, but it does with the volume of things that we have to be able to do that. So this is great to, I think it's better for the poll workers because the conditions are good. It's better for the staff because they're out of the elements. We'll have more information faster, and we'll get material to Hallie quicker because we use 2 vans to go on a continuous cycle and loop to keep things going. Long term, the goal is this works great, we fine tune it, and then we start to expand. And maybe we can have more regional type drop-offs within the county, maybe partnering with municipalities and their service garages and things like that. But you got to start somewhere, and it's here. And we're excited to see how that works out. Community outreach, they are starting next week, or are next week, we'll be conducting 8 library education series sessions. There are 8 Cleveland libraries. They are the wards that were not in the September primary. So trying to focus on with Cleveland going from 17 to 15, that's kind of the priority for this election in trying to help individuals get to the correct polling locations because they do have the most change. Even though poll places that were in May or were there in September are now there from November, some individuals did not participate in either of those previous elections. And so between September and November, the library series, we will have hit all 15 new Cleveland wards with opportunities for residents to come in and physically sit down with our staff, ask whatever questions they may have, whether it's about poll locations or vote by mail or whatever it may be. So that will be conducted again next week, Tuesday through Thursday. It is, and we'll get you the locations, 3 on Tuesday, 3 Wednesday, and 2 on Thursday. So far, we're off to a good start. Staff is doing well, and we are where we need to be as far as the election is concerned. If there's any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Perlotti? All right, hearing none. Mr. Gallagher.
Good morning. So I wanted to give you a brief building update. Since we started first moving into this building back in May, at that time we were working with the county to get our server, our computer server, moved from 2925 to this building. So since July, we've had some issues with just getting a bidder and getting certain things finalized with county fiscal. But I'm glad to say that this Saturday we're scheduled to bring over the computer server. In the meantime, what had happened was we were connected to that building and able to conduct our operations through a secure network. But as Steve Dell talked about with the early in-person vote process, when they had that network issue, that actually was caused by that was part of the issue, where now with having the server in this building, we wouldn't see that type of problem occur again because with that connectivity. So tomorrow we're going to have a go or no-go meeting with them. We're optimistic that we'll be able to have the server moved over this weekend. Also blinds, one of the deliverables for this building was having working blinds. These blinds are 30 years old. Most of them did not come up and down, so been working with the landlord, and glad to say that beginning on Tuesday, they're going to start installing the new blinds throughout our building. It's about a 2-day process, but they will be returning. We asked them not to disrupt early in-person voting, so that they will be coming after voting has ended in the EIP room, and they'll install the blinds in that room as well. We are continuing to have weekly meetings with IRG, the landlord here. We are getting progress, knocking things out, but sometimes it seems like you knock one off and another one comes right back up. So we're making progress, and they are working with us. Later today, Director Perlotti and I will be meeting with the county to discuss options, different options for moving the absentee department out of the garage and into this building. So we've been doing space analysis and trying to work what will be the best place to fit what where. But we're all working together, and we're optimistic that we can come up with a win-win solution that will be best for our voters. And then the final item is today we're going to be having a follow-up meeting. We're working to bring and modernize the system that candidates and petition groups use to pay for their permits and so forth with or fees with the campaign finance department. What we're working is to get a point and pay system where candidates will not only have the option to pay by check or cash, but also to be able to pay electronically with a credit card to pay those fees. So again, I think that that's a good option, something that many candidates and people will appreciate to use. It's very similar to what the county treasurer's office uses in their agency as well. So if you have any questions, that was a brief update.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? All right, hearing none, the chair has not received any requests for public comment nor a request to go into executive session. So therefore, I move that this meeting go into recess.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.